Hi everyone, it's Nathan here at US Sport Aircraft, and today we're bringing you the top 10 mistakes that student pilots make on both their sport and private pilot check rides. Now, US Sport Aircraft has a great relationship with designated pilot examiners right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've taken all of their advice and we've compiled a video for you. And that video is the top 10 pilot check ride mistakes. Let's take a look.
Number 10, hurrying or stressing out.
Take your time and relax. The examiner doesn't care how quickly you answer the question. He just wants to make sure that you answer the question correctly. Remember, your examiner was in your shoes once before. He wants to see you pass, not fail.
Properly plan for the performance of the aircraft on that specific day, and if you don't feel comfortable with the weather, ask for a discontinuance. Don't feel like you have to fly if you're not comfortable doing so. During the flight portion, don't taxi too fast, and remember that go-arounds are always a welcome option. Number 9, being disorganized.
Make sure that your flight instructor has signed you off in IACRA, your logbook is totaled and organized, and you have all of the appropriate sign-offs. Don't simply rely on your instructor to take care of all this. Be proactive and double-check everything before the check ride begins.
Be on time for your check ride and pay your DPE promptly and right up front. Don't make the examiner ask for payment. When you arrive, hand the examiner your envelope with cash payment inside. Now, this may seem like a shady back alley deal, but it's the standard way to pay for your check ride. Number 8, dwelling on mistakes.
Don't get preoccupied thinking that you failed mid-check ride. If you think you've made a mistake, just move on. The more you focus on the mistakes you think you've made, the more actual mistakes you're going to make. Remember, relax and think ahead of the airplane.
Number 7, not briefing your DPE as a passenger.
Keep your examiner engaged during the flight. Aviate, navigate, and communicate, and in that order. Say everything out loud that you're doing so that your examiner knows exactly what it is you're doing.
Vocalize checklist usage, altitude changes, and traffic scans. Also, if you use a nav aid, identify it. It is required. Likewise, your check ride is not over until you have debriefed with the examiner. It doesn't stop after the last landing. Use your shutdown checklist, replace the control lock, and secure the aircraft. These are all part of the evaluation. Number 6, not performing clearing turns.
Your examiner wants to know that you're safe. A huge component of safety is performing clearing turns. Very important.
Number 5, guessing or BSing.
The DPE has to take your first answer as your final answer. So don't just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind when he or she asks you a question. And remember, you can always look things up. It's going to look a lot better if you say you don't know the answer to something than to pretend like you do. The DPE always knows when you're BSing.
Using materials such as the FAR aim or POH are generally accepted practices. Know how to navigate the POH and the FAR aim. Know which sections are which and where to find items such as checklists. Number 4, arguing with the DPE.
Arguing with a DPE is never a good idea. Now, it should be a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised how many people actually do argue with their examiner. It's okay to be confident, but don't be cocky. Now, you may be the smartest guy in the room in many cases, but in this case, you're not.
Number 3, not using checklists.
Checklists are critical at every stage of flight. Be sure to perform all of your checklists out loud so that your examiner knows exactly what it is you're doing.
Be prepared to perform the following checklists: pre-flight, startup, taxi, run-up, pre-takeoff, takeoff, climb, cruise, descent, before landing, after landing, and shutdown. Every single checklist. And don't forget the emergency checklist too when it's time to simulate emergency procedures. Number 2, talking too much.
Keep your answers short and to the point. Don't ramble on. Rambling only gives the DPE the chance to find deficiencies in your knowledge. And certainly don't go down a rabbit hole because he's sure to follow you there. Don't try and impress him with all of your knowledge. Everything needs to be short and to the point. And finally, number 1, not knowing your stuff. Now, none of the other 9 things on this list matter unless you know the material. You need to know airspace, systems, and documentation. Documentation both for you and the aircraft. These are the common categories that examiners see students get tripped up on. So, before you begin your check ride, make sure you're studied and ready to go.
Before you even schedule your check ride, go through the ACS or PTS and triple check that you are fully prepared in every category of knowledge, skills, and risk management. "My instructor didn't tell me that" is not a valid answer for not knowing the material. It may sound a little overkill to read the entire POH from front to back, but doing so will make your check ride a million times easier.
You should be able to properly demonstrate all flight procedures before you even have your check rides scheduled. Now, of the DPs that we know, they tell us that most students fail check rides for things like stalls, short and soft-filled landings, checklist usage, that's a big one, and simulated emergency procedures.
Many students fail emergency landings by being way too high or picking a poor field. One DP recommends that you choose a golf course or a long field. Remember, look down. Don't try to fly a long distance to a field or airport you may or may not make, or to a field that you can't determine the quality of. Sometimes you can miss a field that would be perfectly acceptable and it's right under your nose. Fly a traffic pattern around the landing spot and fly the approach as much like a normal landing as possible. You should also know your radio communications like the back of your hand and be very comfortable using maps, timing, and diversions.
Well, if you found this video helpful or you think we may have missed something, let us know all about it in the comments section below. Take care, everyone, and good luck on that check ride.